It's harder than hell to go to work right now. My boss is a jerk and he smells like a cow. Payments are late and I can't get a break. Well, I can't catch that, but I can catch a fish. Texas, rig it up and give it a cast, hoping I can catch me a big old bass. Flip her in the boat and give her a kiss. Well, I can't get a girl. I can catch a fish, reel it on in, take a little selfie to show all of my friends. I can throw a spinner or I can throw a crank, impressing all the girls while they're tanning on the bank. Grab a little hook, bait a night crawler, hold on a second, something's pecking at my bobber. Hook set in the lip, makes me wanna take a dip, have your buddy take the pic, yeah. I can catch a fish. Well, I called in sick and wet a line. My boss done had it for the last time. I grab a jig and I give it a pitch. I can't go to work, no way, but I can catch a fish, reel it on up, put 'em in the live well for later when I'm done. I can throw a spinner or I can throw a crank, impressing all the girls while they're tanning on the bank. Grab a little hook, bait a night crawler, hold on a second, something's pecking at my bobber. Hook set in the lip, makes me wanna take a dip, have your buddy take the pic, yeah. I can catch a fish. I don't know what you wanna do, but if you got some plastic worms and a pinch of chew, meet me at the lake where I caught that 8. Okay, fine, maybe it was fake, but I can catch a fish, reel it on in, take a little selfie to show all of my friends. I can throw a spinner or I can throw a crank, impressing all the girls while they're tanning on the bank. Grab a little hook, bait a night crawler, hold on a second, something's pecking at my bobber. Hook set in the lip, makes me wanna take a dip, have your buddy take the pic, yeah. I can catch a fish. Oh, dude, I think I got one. Oh man, it's just a stick. I think I got a stick. It's a tree pounder, man. I can catch a fish. I can catch a fish.
Welcome to Hendrix Fishing, home of the Hendrix Fishing Box and Hendrix Fishing Splash Pack, jam-packed with baits from small businesses across the U.S. While you're here, make sure to check out one of the best up-and-coming bait companies, Third Eye Fishing, home of the Samurai Swimmer and Nico Cross. They also offer some of the great custom tackle to go with it, and even some of the best gear to wear while out on the water. Now, talking about being out on the water, make sure you pick up some line from Beyond Braid. It's going to be the smoothest braid money can buy. And while you're here, make sure you use code FishTalk10 and save 10%. Check out the hottest new company in the bass fishing industry, Third Eye Fishing. Since debuting their first product in April of last year, Third Eye Fishing has released several innovative baits, including the Dojo Worm, available in 3 different sizes, a Spiness Craw designed specifically for the Nico rig, and a swim bait called the Samurai Swimmer with a one-of-a-kind sword tail, plus much more. All Third Eye baits are custom designed and made right here in the USA. And guys, make sure to check them out on social media, Third Eye Fishing and thirdeyefishing.com. While you're there, use code FishTalk15 for 15% off your first purchase. Trust me.
I'm not going to make that mistake again. I've wanted to mute the mic multiple times like I did last week, but we are unmuted. Welcome back. Hopefully everybody's having a great week. Hopefully you guys got out fishing, either ice fishing, open water fishing. As you can tell in the screen next to me, I've got a loaded screen up. And the reason being is our guest actually lives right next door, so we'll get to him in a second. But we also got Jordan joining us like normal, and we got Jeremy here, my co-host, hanging out. How are you guys doing over there? You guys look a little tight.
Social distancing.
That's over. It's wartime now.
Clearly.
But perfect. Well, before we jump into our guest and kind of go over some stuff, I kind of wanted to talk about a few things. Hopefully you guys have gotten a chance to try out Hendrix Fishing Products, one of our sponsors, as you saw, of the podcast, because not only is Hendrix Fishing doing something next month, but they are joining with Third Eye Fishing next month, our other sponsor, for a complete takeover of the month of March. That's this month, actually. Wow, time flies. So if you missed that box, I'm sorry, but use code FishTalk10. Get yourself subscribed because you're not going to miss future boxes. They're going to be absolutely jam-packed full of custom baits. You might see some stuff from these two guys. I got to learn how to point. We're getting this figured out. There we go. These two guys over here. And I kind of want to challenge you guys. For every person that places an order and uses code FishTalk10 at the Hendrix site, doesn't matter if you order a bait, anything, you're going to get entered for a chance to win a free box and free splash pack. And if you wind up subscribing, that's going to get you bonus entries as well. But like usual, if we get 15 viewers, guys, the grab and go pack's going to one of you lucky few watching. So get your friends in, get your family in, mom, girlfriend, brother, sister, cousin, uncle, doesn't matter. The random guy next door. But that's all I got to say. You got anything to say?
No, just thanks again to our sponsors, and it's a great group, great community. Can't wait for that March box to come out.
Yeah, same. I'm absolutely stoked on that March box.
I've seen previews, and it's hands down probably one of the best this year so far. And that's hard to say because there's been some good ones like.
And I say so far is a good way because I've actually had the privilege. Wow, words are hard today, guys. I've had the privilege of seeing what's coming down the pot. Wow, I'm done. Get Jordan in here. Have him start talking for me. Words are hard for me today. But no, what I was saying is I've had the privilege of seeing what's coming down the pipeline for April, May, the few next upcoming months, and all I gotta say is you're definitely gonna get your money's worth and then some, guys. So like I said, Fish Talk 10, save some money. Also get yourself entered in, and that code can be used every time. So if you want to place 6 orders, that's 6 entries. Great. It could be one bait each time. Doesn't matter. But to start the show, I figured I'd tell you, if you guys haven't seen the Instagram posts, Facebook posts, some of the big news that we were talking about is, well, I'm going to be a father. First one for me. So we've got a future part-time fisher coming down. October is the expected delivery date. I'm excited and nervous. So if you guys have any tips on being a parent, I'll take them. The biggest one I've heard so far is don't drop the child. No promises. I was a lineman. But other than that, I'm just excited to.
I heard you had to sell your fishing stuff.
Oh, no, boys. It is all sitting here nice and beautiful. I used it today. The boat's still here. We're not getting rid of that. Good try, though. Good try. But I mean, I am a salesman, so everything's for sale. But it's hard to get rid of your fishing stuff, especially when there's gonna be a new person that needs to use this fishing stuff. We don't know gender yet, so I'm excited. But
well, congrats.
Yeah, congrats, buddy.
So, like I said, if you guys get any tips, let me know. I could use them. I'm freaking out, but it'll be fine.
Fishing or parenting? I'm confused now.
Both. I'm a hot mess this year. But enough about me. I'm excited. Like I said, you guys go check out the post if you want to talk more about it. Jeremy, since he's sitting next to you, go ahead and introduce who do you got next to you and who's joining us this week on the podcast.
This is this is my neighbor Chris, owner and fellow bait maker extraordinaire, Christopher Poole, and he runs Skeeterbites. Fly shop. Yep. God, words are hard.
Yeah, it's a
Watch
Wednesday.
the podcast.
No.
Yeah, we thought we'd mix it up this time, and I'm kind of excited to get a different perspective on fishing. You know, and so far the podcasts have been a lot more bass fishing oriented, hard bait guys, soft plastic guys. I'm excited to finally talk to somebody that does some fly tying, and more than just fly tying, some of the accessory based tying that he's done for not just you but some other people as well. So, welcome, Chris. Excited to have you. What's my first question for you? I had a bunch. I don't know. Do you want the fun question, or do you want the one that gets right into the business?
Yeah, you shoot, John.
Okay.
Just have at it.
Well, I'm gonna get to a serious question before we have a little fun, because I did start drinking here. So, I guess the first one is, what got you started tying flies, and why fly fishing?
That's a really easy question. When I was about 11 years old, my dad decided he was done buying worms. And so he just started picking up. He just decided he was going to be a fly fisherman. And if I wanted to go fishing with him, I better learn how to tie some flies. So when the first few times we went out together, he showed me a few little of the basics, the woolly buggers and some of the dry flies to tie. And then after that, I kind of got off on my own. I tied some really wild flies that absolutely no fish in the entire world. They probably ran from them. They were so odd looking. But yeah, it was just trial by fire. And we got our float tubes, and we just went out and sat in the reservoirs and fly fished. It was extremely relaxing.
Now, what part of the country was this in? Because you said reservoirs and stuff, and I'm thinking around here we don't have a whole lot of what I would call your typical fly fishing waters, but we have some. So what part of the country was this in?
Idaho.
Really? Okay. So were you going for trout then, or?
Yep, trout.
Okay. What kind of trout were we hitting?
Rainbows and browns.
Ooh, okay. There you go.
Yep.
I'll say Jeremy's had his luck of a rainbow already this year. We actually, I think he was telling you before the show, we actually hit one through the ice. Now, we weren't brave enough to walk out on the 2 inches of ice, so we were just sitting on the dock poking some holes, but it was kind of funny because we made a whole bunch of noise, put down the sonar and go, hey, there's something down there. It was about a couple inches off the bottom, and sure enough, came up and smacked it when he wasn't paying attention and put up a good fight. It was fun. And then a pain in the butt to get back down the hole, though, when you're not sitting right above it.
Yeah. Especially when you don't have a fishing rod to push it in the hole.
Yep, things sitting there flopping. You're like, oh, no, come on.
Yeah. It's just a stalker trout. It'll be catfish bait here in the next week with this weather.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. I double-checked that lake. It still has some skim ice on that one. So once it opens up, probably get out there and get some bait. So... Well, I'll let Jeremy ask. He's got to ask the question every week, and it's actually a fun one. I'll let him ask for you.
Underwear, no underwear. Oh. What's your personal PB?
My personal PB was last year, about a month from now, and this.
I know where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually it was a 6-inch diver that he gave me, and I took the trouble off and tied a little tail on it, and probably it was probably close to 5-pound bass out of that second lake, and I waited as long because I knew he was coming and I knew he had a scale, and I waited as long as I could. But just before I got there, I had to drop it in the water.
Gotcha.
I literally walked over the hill as he's releasing it.
Oh man.
Now that's not entirely that is not my PB actually. A 32-inch, 13-pound king salmon and the Puget Sound off of Washington State with my grandfather.
Okay. So I like that answer. So your PB bass, largemouth bass, we'll say would be that close to 5-pounder, unofficially weighed. Yeah. I saw the photos, right. So I'll give you that. It had girth and it had length. I'd give you close to that 5. And then your overall PB, you said was a what kind of salmon?
king salmon.
Yep, haven't caught one of those, so need to cross those off the list. Jeremy, we're making a road trip this year.
With me. Get me.
Oh,
I guess since you fish for different species and many species, you got out of Nebraska. What would you say is your target species for fishing? What do you like to go for?
I really, really, really like to go for trout. And that's probably just because that's what I caught growing up. I do like the fight that a trout has for its. I mean, if you look at a trout and you put it up against a bass, an uneducated person is going to say, well, that bass is going to fight harder than a trout. That's not true at all. And so on a fly reel and a fly pole, a trout is so much fun.
line
Yeah.
screamer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, John, you used to fly fish too, didn't you?
Still do. I got my. I was actually looking at my fly rod right over here. I actually got some new line and float line for it. This year I want to get a video, and maybe that's where I have you come out, Chris, since you're another avid fly fisherman, to get the rust off me. And I was gonna say so you must like this time of year. For folks that don't know, here in Omaha, we don't have a lot of natural reproducing trout areas to go fish. So like we have to wait till they do what they call stocking events, basically. And it's this time of year, and what is it, fall, I believe, is when they usually do a second stocking. So we'll definitely have to get out this time of year and get some fly fishing in.
I think I heard an unofficial that it was March 4th that they were going to stock two rivers,
Yep.
and March 5th they were going to Louisville.
I heard it, hadn't seen the Louisville date, but I did see the Two Rivers date on there of
Seen it posted today. I thought it was the 9th.
None.
9.
Okay.
Okay.
A week or two.
Well, see, there you go, guys. So keep tuned to the YouTube channel, because there will more than likely be a video of us going out and getting after some of these trout, and trying some different techniques that you haven't seen on the channel. And then definitely want to get Chris out on the boat. And I think Jeremy here knows where I'm going with this. Have you ever gone fly fishing for pike?
No. And yes, I'm in. Let's do it.
Now, since you haven't done it, now I have to ask is, do you know what we need to use? Because I'll admit, I grew up fly fishing on the rivers in Colorado, and I'm used to stuff you use, little dry flies, small, we done bass fishing with small, like little popping flies, slow sinkers, eggs. Any ideas what we're going to need to use if we try fly fishing for pike?
Nope, not a clue.
Okay.
But it will take me about 6 hours. Because what I like to do is if I'm trying to fly for somebody in a region that I'm not from, like Georgia, I just tied some flies for HC lures, and I like to research just where they are, and if they tell me I'm going to go for panfish, you guys know, you probably, even with the hard and the soft bait, what works here in Nebraska is not going to work, in Georgia. So I would say probably about after 6 hours, I would have a pretty good idea and a couple of good flies, at least trial runs for pike.
Okay. Now, in the back of my head, I was laughing a little bit, and the only reason I was is Jeremy and I are doing those bass tournaments. How funny would it be if I showed up with a fly rod?
If it catches fish, I don't care.
Dude, that is very true. That is very true.
Well, catches the
right size
correct
fish. Yes, the right size fish. Which,
And see, that's another thing is you don't have to have a fly rod to use a fly.
oh, explain.
Yeah. When I'm out at Louisville, I'm using a spinning rod with a fly tied on. It's just rigged up a little bit different.
Okay.
All you need is one of those clear water bobbers to tie it on there. The only reason that's there is for weight and to get the fly out there. And then you just the same technique you would use with the fly rod, obviously, the mimic of whatever you've got tied on. is the same with a spinning rod. But when you're doing this with your fly pole,
Mm-hmm.
with the fly line, you do the same thing with the spinning rod.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily have to have a fly pole to go use a fly to go fishing.
Well, there you go. I think that's good. Wow, that's actually really good advice. I think for some of the listeners that are sitting there thinking, "Oh man, I'll never fly fish. I can't use a fly rod." So just taking some light line. Are you using mono then, so it floats like a light mono? Putting
I use
little clear bobber.
Actually have braided tied onto a double-ended swivel.
Okay.
I run the braided through the post and the bobber, then tie on a double-ended swivel, so the bobber's got to stop, right?
Yep.
And then I've just got 10-pound bow on the from about an arm and a half length.
Okay.
Tie and go.
So you got quite a bit of line hanging when you
Yep.
got to cast, but it allows you to get that out there without necessarily having to use a fly rod then.
Yeah.
Okay. See, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. You're gonna teach me something because out of all the times fly fishing, I don't think I've ever fly fished without using a bigger or smaller fly rod. I mean, we've used, 7-foot fly rods, which is a lot harder to cast. Those longer ones do make it easier, but when you're sitting there on a creek and you don't have a lot of arm room and you're just mainly pitching it up river, let it float down, that works out. But a spinning rod. Okay, I'm intrigued now. I hope somebody else is listening and goes and tries this.
There's a video on my Facebook page that's just for explaining how to rig up a spinning rod with a fly on it.
Okay.
You have to speak
Well,
because I
Well, you know what I'll do? You'll have to find that for me. I'm actually going to link that down below, guys. So when this gets uploaded, go check it out again. I'm going to put that link to this video down below, as well if you're listening on Spotify. Go check out. Is it Skeeterbites Fly Shop on Facebook as well?
Got it.
Go check it out there as well, and watch the video if you want to learn how to throw a fly without necessarily having a fly rod. So that's actually really good advice. I wasn't ready to learn something today.
It's pretty fly for a white guy.
And there's the dad jokes. I better get brushed up on those.
Yeah. I'll lend you my book.
Perfect. So you kind of touched base earlier with my first question, but I guess what was the big thing that got you into fishing? Has it been something you're doing since you were small? Have you been doing it for a long time? Was it buddies? Was it family? What was the earliest inkling of fishing you remember?
Oh man, my dad took me and my sister fishing a lot, and then he was a big backpacker, big camper, like going out camping, and that usually consisted of me and my mom and my sister chasing my dad down the trail. So we did a lot of high lake and stream and reservoir. There was a big reservoir out there called Mormon Reservoir. So we hit there a lot. And then when I joined the service, I didn't go at all. I didn't go fishing at all. I didn't really get back into it until I moved here to Nebraska in 2005, and I went with my father-in-law out to Two Rivers, and that's what got me back into it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how long were you in the service for? And thank you again for your service.
Yeah, from 96 to 04.
Oh, wow. That is a long break or pause from fishing then.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Okay. Now, what branch of the? Geez, I'm thinking about. I'm like going. I'm not that old, but God, I think maybe I've taken a year off from fishing that I can remember. Obviously, I didn't come out the womb swinging a lure, but
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I'd go insane. I gotta go fishing. I'd go insane if that was the case.
We went deep sea fishing once. Buddy and I got chartered out there. I don't think we caught anything, but that was fun.
Off the side of an aircraft carrier or something.
Hey, I've heard those stories. If there was a way I could get Grandpa on the podcast, if he had internet out there, he'd tell you those stories back in the day in the Navy. They would actually fish from the side of aircraft carriers.
Oh, I believe it. Those guys are nuts.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
He said they would be catching sharks. They'd be catching everything because obviously, it's the ocean. You never know what you'd get. Now, looking at your Facebook, looking at some of your stuff, it looks great. No judgment there in terms of quality and design. Is it more of a hobby? Is it a hobby becoming business? Is it just something you do in your free time, or what is it right now?
Right now, it started off as a hobby, right now, and it's hobby becoming business, only because I never really thought about it. Hey, maybe I could actually sell these things. So, in all seriousness, it's been, and this isn't to, hype you guys up or anything, but it's been the excitement that I've seen from you and from Jeremy and from Ricky. When I go and I do a live or something and you guys get in a bidding war on something, that kind of was like, maybe I can get more than these knuckleheads are offering. So, yeah. So it's turning into a business.
Okay. So kind of one of those at first, just hobby for yourself and then realize, oh, other people like my work. And then just kind of having to get over the fact of maybe my stuff is good enough.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. I was to say, I'd probably be in that same boat going, okay, yeah, it works for me, but I don't know if I'd want to sell it. Cause I don't know if it, stacks up to whatever the name brand, is out there.
Right.
Now, other than fly tying, I've seen you do some fun stuff for Jeremy and help him out with some of his customers' baits and stuff like that. What other aspects of the business are you looking to expand on or look to get into, or stuff that you've already kind of tested out other than just tying flies?
I've tied some those back end trebles off of a hard bait. And then I took apart a jig head that I bought at Walmart. I took all that stuff off of there and tied my own stuff on it. I haven't fished with that one yet. But just kind of testing myself and saying, hey, this stuff is on here. Can I take this off and can I do something with this that makes sense and that I think is going to catch some fish? So I haven't tried anything with a plastic bait yet. I'm not so sure that I'm not entirely sure that thread and plastic. I'm afraid I will lose some shape of the plastic. But I got some old stuff that I got from Cabela's and I'm just gonna give it a shot.
So I do have some soft plastic somewhere in here. I think they're craws and they have like a feathered claw coming off.
Rabbit Baits does it. Yep. They insert the feathers during the cooling process or even while they pour it. I forget how I talked to one of the guys before and I forget he didn't tell me exactly, but I think it was either they inserted it into the mold and then they would pour it so that it would mold around the strands basically. And it gives it a really interesting look when in the water.
I think I got an idea, and I probably shouldn't say it on here, but I think I got an idea how we could probably do a feathered insert on a plastic.
Okay.
But I'm thinking like a weighted nail, tie it, shove it in.
Yeah. A feather style hasn't been done, but VMC has done like what's that material? Like the rubbery elastic material, I guess is what you want to call it. Like you see on skirts.
Yep.
They've done a couple strands on a nail weight and you insert the nail weight to add some flair. That would be interesting though if you did some sort of tie on, it doesn't have to be a big obnoxious thing either. Just that extra subtle something to give it, while it's going down. Because obviously with the nail weight, that's going to be the part that comes the heavier. So just adding a little flair as it goes down.
So I got a few pieces. So we're really good at challenging each other. So I seen a fly that somebody did. It was a turkey, I think. Yeah. And I tagged him in it. I'm like, all right, so you need to do something Christmas themed. So, and of course I had to buy it, but we got a snowman.
And for those of you guys, I'm laughing right now, those of you guys listening over on Spotify, what he has up there is a small fly, kind of like a beetle style. It's got 3 body pieces, and he dressed it up like a snowman. And if it didn't look so beautiful, I would say let's go fish with it right now.
And it's even got 2 little stick arms. And then I bought this other one in a bidding war. It was his granddaughter picked out the colors, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I had to get this one because I thought it was really cool.
Oh, kind of like a red. It's like a red head, blue body with some white flare coming off the end.
I'm calling it the punky rooster. Punky rooster.
That or the 4th of July firework, but that fly that fly would actually work. Now, is that a floating one or is that a sinking one?
They're both floating, I believe.
Well, the snowman is floating.
Okay.
I wouldn't throw him because he's gonna melt, and then and then the punky rooster is a sinking.
Is a sinking. Okay. And then, so I can describe to the folks that don't really throw flies. When you say sinking, it is a very subtle, slow sink. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It does not drop like, you got some weight on there. Yeah. No.
But the fun part about that is, and this is where I usually like throwing it. You tell me if you throw it a little differently. You get up in those weed edges, and you can get that thing to sit right up on a weed edge, and that thing just slowly flutter. You give it just the tiniest little twitch, or just the littlest pull of the line. That thing scoots across, and it just gets those finicky bass attention, panfish, trout, you name it. That's kind of how I like to throw. I mean, if you throw it differently, please share. But
No. When I'm using them with the fly rod, that's exactly
so it's basically like throwing a weightless worm for bass fishermen.
Yes, and that brings up a really good point, John. The ones I use on a spinning rod, I actually, the first thing I put on that hook is soldering wire. Sink faster than a normal wet fly, like top water fly that just kind of doesn't go really past a foot and a half deep. But yeah, exactly. When I want the fly rod and I put it right on the weeds, just like you said.
Perfect. And G.I. Joe Outdoor Life says, "Thank you for your service, sir."
Oh, thanks. Thank you, G.I. Joe.
I love his name.
To carry on, I do have a few more things I've gotten from them.
Yeah.
This one might be a little faded just because I fished it. Just a little hair jig type of thing. I don't know if there's a certain name for it or not.
Now, seeing that, while he's bringing so much stuff up, have you thought of making, or have you made like a bucktail style jig?
I have not made a bucktail style jig.
Okay, because that would be, or like, I guess people call them bucktail because obviously they were deer hair, but a hair jig, I guess, would be the best way to describe it.
That pink one that he put up is 99% craft fur, so it's a synthetic hair. It's not a rabbit fur or bucktail or elk hair or anything like that. But it is 99% synthetic fur hair.
Now, have you noticed a difference using real animal fur, whether it be like a squirrel, rabbit, deer, anything like that, versus those synthetics? Is there pros or cons?
I love real animal hair on just about any dry fly.
When you said real animal food, all I imagined in my head was
Yeah. So, but if I'm tying a streamer or something like that, then I'd rather waste the synthetic, the cheaper stuff.
Okay.
But with a dry fly that's going to be sitting on top of the water, with the bucktail and the stuff like that, the elk, it will hold the floatant a lot longer than the synthetic stuff.
Do you get a different presentation of the water? Like, does the hair move differently versus synthetic in the water itself?
Yeah, it's more of it weighty. It's more motion. Like if you looked at it too long, you're just gonna fall asleep.
Okay.
Where the bucktail and stuff like that, it's very quick. It's not designed. Those animals aren't that hair's supposed to keep them from getting wet.
Gotcha.
So it's a lot more action.
Okay, so that's kind of why, for example, like MEPS, they use squirrel tail hair, and you notice when you pull a MEPS back up, it's very in the water. It's giving it a bunch of action. When you pull it up, though, it's very straight, forward, everything like that. Versus synthetics that kind of stay. They look almost the same way you threw them in.
Exactly. Yeah.
They look the same dry as they do wet.
Going back to his PB bass, it was caught on the same lure, same tail, different lure though. And
that's
he just took a 6-cent square bill and added the feathered tail. And I'll tell you, the action of this is insane because it just gives it even more of a wobble to it.
So it opens up the wobble then by throwing that on there?
Yeah, and it slows it down in a way, but it's real fluid. But I'll tell you what though, it was April-ish last year.
Yeah.
So the same day he caught that fish, he caught another one with the same lure. And this water was probably maybe 50, not even.
Maybe.
He walked in the water to get his lure back because it had a fish on it, but he wasn't going to lose his lure. He didn't care about the fish. So up chest deep in this cold, freezing water, he got his lure back.
Because it was fish stuck to a tree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then that tail fell apart, so it was totally not worth it.
So now on that treble, what kind of are you using synthetics? Are you doing a mixture? What are we using on that?
So this one I actually tied before I had any synthetic hair. So this is all feather, 100% like a marabou feather.
Oh, so it's actual feather. Okay.
Yeah, and it's got a little bit of iridescent crystal flashing. I don't know if you guys can see it twinkle.
Oh wow. Okay. So now feather in the water versus the hair. What's the feather going to do in the water versus the hair then?
A marabou feather will, if you're pulling it, it's going to tighten itself up. And then once it stops moving, it's a very light feather, so it will kind of open up. And,
oh, okay. So it'd be one. Okay, so on a fly then, like something you're going to be popping. As you pop it, it scrunches, but then as it sits there, it expands. And then it scrunches, expands. Okay. See, I'm learning stuff today.
Big old hair jig like a croc color. I think that would chill around here because when you got that popping, like when it's swimming.
Yep. That's why I was wondering if you did any type of, like I said, hair jigs or anything yet, because you said you were experimenting like with Walmart jigs. I think that'd be cool. Like if you went to Walmart, bought a generic silver heavy jig head, tight. I wouldn't say too heavy, probably half ounce at the biggest. Yep. I'd fish it. I'd fish it. I would totally be a guinea pig and fish it for you. That'd be fun.
All right. Yeah.
But
so what else you got?
You want to? Okay.
Let's see some more stuff.
All right. Let's show us some of the other stuff that you do currently tie.
Okay. Let's see.
I apologize if something happens. I forgot to plug my phone in. So there we go.
Let's see.
Blind eye fishing, welcome. Seeing him pop up in the chat.
Guys, get your friends in here while he's digging through stuff. Like I said, if we can get to 15, we will definitely be giving away that grab and go pack. And then, like I mentioned, for every time someone uses code FishTalk10 while checking out at hendricksfishing.com, every time you use that code, you will get entered for a chance at winning a free box and free splash pack. And if you do subscribe with using that code, you will get bonus entries.
Ooh, bonus entries.
Everybody likes bonus.
Use save money.
And you already missed out on the Fire March box. I don't want you to miss out on any more boxes. Because I'll give you the heads up now. These two are featured in an upcoming Hendricks box. I won't tell you which one. You're going to need to subscribe. Get the box. It's going to be amazing. It may be something similar to what you've already seen on the stream. It may not. It may be different. All I'm going to say is you're not going to want to miss any more boxes.
I'll give a clue.
You get a bag.
I get a bag? That's a Ziploc bag.
And it's not an S crank, John.
That's good. Nothing against the S crank. For anybody that knows me, I get a bunch of subscription boxes. I love everybody's baits. I understand why everybody does an S crank, but I could use something different. But what's the first thing you got for us here? You have to do a little bit of explaining for the folks that aren't able to watch that are listening over on Spotify.
Yeah.
I'll hold it. You describe it.
So that is going to be probably a late spring, early summer, good dry fly.
And when you say dry fly, what is a dry fly?
Dry fly is one that doesn't sink.
Okay, so a float for my bass fisherman, it's a floater. It's a top
Right.
water.
You want it to stay dry. That's right. You want it to look like a bug that has hit the top of the water and is just chilling. What else?
We'll go with this one.
Now, have you done any popping style flies? And I say popping fly, they almost remind me of almost like a popping frog, but they're tied flies. I haven't know if you've tied any of those yet, or.
I did do it. I did a couple poppers last year when I first got back into tying flies. I didn't really like fishing with them.
Now, do you?
If somebody wanted, hey, I want.
Have you frog fished before then? Have you done topwater fishing before, other than fly fishing, like a frog or a walking bait?
I haven't.
Okay. See, I think if you got that hook up on it, you may like that more, especially around here in Nebraska. If you weren't going for those trout, those popping flies, you will have more success with the bass, at least around here.
Okay.
And the reason I was asking is those bigger popping flies come late spring here when that grass finally starts to grow, those pike that are hiding up in the grass.
Ah, okay. So we need to get a popper for
bigger popper, or like I said, some sort of slow sinker that kind of gets their attention that we can kind of work.
Okay.
You did the feathered trebles for the poppers that I did. So
Yep.
There's pictures of those I shared the other day. I could repost that. But so what we got here? I was holding this one up just a little.
So that was just like a crowned nymph. That one's gonna sink. That one has a little bit of the what's it called?
What?
Soldering wire in there.
Yeah,
It's not. I depending on how fast I want it to sink is how much of that shank that I'll put the soldering wire on. If I put a beaded head on it, you know.
So kind of give it that dying bug presentation, or that the little beetle style presentation.
Right. So that last one, that one is a good crappie fly.
Ooh, okay. I know we got some crappie fishermen that watch and listen. So
I think I just bought this one.
oh wow,
That's good summer bass fly right
now
there.
that one sinks. And the
one
reason
will
I
sink.
say that, guys, for those of you that aren't watching, this what he's holding up right now, it reminds me a lot of like a bucktail or hair jig, but is super poofy. It's got a smaller jig head on the front of it. Looks absolutely perfect, honestly. That might be something that you need to bring out and we can use you can show me how to fly fish with a spinning reel, because I'm excited. I've got a spinning reel we can use just for that.
And that one right there, John, has got that marabou feather on it, like I was telling you. So
It'll do that. That'll do that contract and then poof and then okay.
This one, you can feel the weight on this one.
Yeah.
Now this one that he's holding up, it's the way I'd explain it, guys, is I don't know. How do you explain this one?
That was my. Let me see. Yeah. So that was my experiment. I was gonna try and tie an ice fishing lure, right?
Oh, okay, I'm listening.
And I didn't like the body, and so I turned it into just a sinking streamer. And I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure that one will get some crappies, some bluegill, and it might get a really confused bass.
Now you got me excited. I know we just ended our ice fishing season here, but that would be something. Have you gone out on the ice, or is that something you don't do?
I haven't gone out. I went out. No, we didn't go actual ice fishing, but we used the ice fishing gear, and that's when Jeremy decided to pull a hog out of it.
All right. So I think next ice season, like I said, I'll be juggling a newborn child, but I'll have plenty of support. They said I can get out and ice fish. We'll definitely have to get you out there. I'd be curious to try ice fishing with a fly, basically.
So these are the ones.
Second, this one again feels like it's got a little bit of weight, kind of like the last one. You can see.
You can see the bigger head on there.
This one's got a copper wire.
That's that.
Oh yes, and it's even got that waxworm look to it. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so guys, what he's holding up right now, we were just talking about ice fishing with a fly. If Jeremy can get this thing hold still, this thing looks absolutely like a big waxworm. So it has kind of like a copperish red head. So you get like the tip of the waxworm going into like a slim worm-like body around the hook, and then just a little bit of flare just to kind of give it a little something when it goes down. That would be absolutely fire to just sit there and vertically jig with. And we've got a couple honey spots that would definitely catch the bluegill, but it would not surprise me if we caught bass or even a pike.
This one looks like it's just the wire.
Yep, and then he's holding up another one here that's not as poofy, a little bit more simplified, but that same worm-like style, body grub-like style.
So we found out hot pink is the ice fishing color around here.
Okay.
Not all the time, because black also killed it.
Yeah, black too.
It all depends on the water clarity of where we were.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
So,
and so, you just did a career day at the high school.
Junior high.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that was awesome. I'll tell you what. I don't know what happened with Jeremy's class. Did you go to Platteview?
no.
All right. I don't know what happened to Jeremy's generation at Platteview, but these guys are super smart.
Okay. So you went to the junior high for career day. What were you, why were you at career day? Now I'm curious.
Yeah. So I volunteered to go talk about, starting a small business and what it takes and stuff like that. And I spoke about that for about 2 minutes. After that, I opened it up to questions. I didn't have a single question about small business. It was always, what kind of fish? Where can I tie that from? Can I get that fly? What's your personal best on it? What's the biggest fish you ever caught? So we did 9 rounds of me just talking about fishing, and it was awesome.
So talking to me and John's like talking to a bunch of junior high kids is what you're trying to say.
Those junior high kids probably had better questions. Bring them on.
No, they were smart, because I tried to. In fourth grade, they have market days here, where they have to make a product, and then they have to sell it for fake money to their classmates, right? And so I asked, and it just seems like everybody. On a side note, everybody in Springfield and Westmont, when it's market days, everybody makes slime. So
Slime.
yeah, everybody made slime. I was trying to teach them that, how much what product or what materials did you have to buy to make the slime? What materials did you have to buy to package the slime? And how much should you sell it for? And trying to teach them that, your first slime ball didn't cost $1. It cost you $25. Just trying to get them to think about it's not as fun and simple as it sounds. Jeremy knows it, and just about anybody with a small business knows it takes you got guts to go for it.
You have to have guts. You have to have money. You have to have patience.
Yeah.
You got to be dedicated.
Right.
So all the things I do not have as qualities.
Me either.
We're getting a few more people popping in the chat. Howdy, everybody, and thank you. I appreciate the cheers there. But
you from something looks like you're having a stroke. I can see like your face behind your face.
I'm just gonna keep drinking. We'll be fine.
It's a side by side. Move to your right just a tad.
Apparently, I did a screen freeze.
What John's trying to figure out is like, anybody got questions? Put it up in the chat. What do you fly fish? Would you put a feather trope on, square bill? Shoot some ideas, I've got to turn off the TV. Boy, I'm still got to look it up here. It's almost like it's on Skype, John. If that helps narrow things down.
Guys, real quick, I'm going to end the call, so you might lose the video feed. I'm going to get them back in the call. I apologize. It wouldn't be a podcast if we wouldn't have technical difficulties. All right. Sorry. We're getting everybody back in here. I apologize. Get this locked and loaded here. My bad. I'm so sorry. All right, guys, I do apologize. We're getting Skype pulled back up. While we're doing this, though, please get everybody else in the chat. I'm so sorry. And if you got questions, start posting them right now. I'm seeing some of you guys talk. And when we get this back up, we will answer some of you guys' questions. It could be for us. It could be for our guest. But let me get this pulled back up here.
Are we back yet?
All right, we got our guests back. You guys can still hear me. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see me. I apparently broke the internet, which is fine.
It's like
Well, we got rid of Chris.
it's like a record both breaks the
I'm still
internet.
here.
Yeah, you're the only
Last
person.
man standing.
You can be the only.
So, what?
I really broke it, guys. I'm having a good time. It's all good though. There we go.
Okay, here you go. Here's a question for Chris. Do you have any recommendations on a vice that you really like?
Ooh,
I would say.
Oh, you're back.
and that's from Kyle Ristayu. Thank
I
you
would
for the
say
question.
any type of a 360 vice, and when I say 360, I mean a vice that you can that on the grip you can flip it back and forth without having to take the fly off and turn it upside down and stick it back in for that underbelly. Just about any 360 vice. They make all these fancy ones that have these big long. They look like the dry cleaning hooks that hold all your materials and stuff like that. But if you're setting that far away from the material that you're using to tie the fly, then you've got a problem that you can't just reach out and get it. Of course, I mean, for those big guys, those mass producers, that's very helpful having something that holds the material. But the one I have, it just has a little tiny, it looks like a spring wrapped around the vise, and it holds everything I need to tie a fly. Yeah, a 360 vice.
He said rotary.
Yeah.
Rotary. Okay.
Justin says pike flies to try deer hair head or marabou head with a rabbit strip tail killer pike fly.
I actually have some rabbit strip.
There we go. Now we're starting to get the tips and tricks here.
Yeah.
What other questions do you guys have? That was actually from Justin, and I'm going to screw that last name up, so we're going to say Justin K.
I know Justin was wanting some ice fishing jigs too, so if he didn't see those, I'm sure he'll probably be putting his paycheck on those too. He's always telling me, don't do any more ice jigs because I'm going to buy them all. So.
Now,
yeah.
While my camera's down and while we're waiting for more questions to flood in, what do you want this to become in the future? And by this I mean what is Skeeterbites Fly Shop going to be in the future, or what do you want it to be?
I don't want it to be. I don't envision it getting super big. I don't ever really put on more than one or two. I would love it enough that I could have fly tires, time flies, but I really don't care that it gets much, if it ever got any bigger than that. There was there's a company out there that I was really excited about. And they have a play on words that is really important to me. And I mean, they kind of sucked me in. Their bait, their motto is, or their name is after, kind of named after the Marine Corps motto. And so I was all sorts of excited about them. And I went to purchase some of their stuff, and I have just hit a giant stone wall. And so I don't ever want to get to where I can't help each individual customer.
So I seen a couple guys. I was looking into a cheap one too, just to learn on. And there was a couple off of Amazon. They said it was really good. You know, the float line's fine and all. They said the leader's completely garbage, but
I'm 100% for a beginner. I wouldn't go unless you got the money. If you have a little bit and you think it's going to be something that you're going to stick with and get into, then Orvis or Sage, they have good beginner rods. I agree with John. Don't go over 8 feet, and I wouldn't go under. I wouldn't go 5. I wouldn't go under a 5 weight. And if you got a 5 weight 8 foot, then you just need 5 weight line for anybody that, you know. Just make sure that if you're going to grab a combo, the weight of the line matches the weight of the rod.
yeah, because I think I'm gonna probably get one eventually. Because I got waders, and what's the point of waders? You're not gonna have a fly rod. So, you know, if I'm gonna spend $40 on waders that I never.
And I
plan on using, we just didn't. But
I'm gonna apologize because I just completely realized that I was still on mute because I'm a genius. So you guys could hear me, but none of the listeners could hear me. So real quick, I'm gonna rehash there. $100 rod and reel combo from Cabela's is a perfect one. Comes with everything you need to get started. Do not spend more unless, like he said, you have the money and really want to, but it's not needed. And then Jeremy was talking about there is that Amazon one, which I was looking. It's like a Sogling or whatever is the brand, Chinese brand one. It works out great too. That one's about $50. Those are good learner ones. And then yes, if you get the bug and you get stuck and you love it, then yes, do some research. Please do your research and then invest in something that fits your style.
Yeah. Sage Orvis, they make good ones, good combos. And like I said, I'm not gonna echo John. Don't go over 8 feet, and I wouldn't go under 5 weight. And 5 weight pole means you need 5 weight line. Very easy. You'll be able to throw. You'll be able to throw any trout, panfish, and if you're gonna go for bass, the heaviest fly that you're gonna want, just make sure you match it with the tippet. And the best way to figure out what kind of tippet goes on the end of the leader. The only reason the tippet is there is so you're not having to change your leader. When you change your flies, your leader's getting smaller and shorter and shorter and shorter. So the tippet's on there so you don't have to keep changing your leader. Just make sure a 6X, 3X tippet will throw a small bass.
And I know we're throwing a lot of different terminology, especially for those of you that do bass fishing. Please go on Google. There is actually some really great breakdowns out there that can break down what we're talking about, like 5 weight, 9 weight, stuff like that, tippets, leaders. I mean, everybody knows what, most of you guys should know what leaders are, but G.I. Joe, great question. Thank you. If you guys get any more, please let us know. And once again, I do apologize for my blank screen on my side, but it's all good.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. You don't mind?
Yeah. Looking at the time, I do apologize. I never want to keep our guests longer than we ask them to. So any last questions? And before we go, I guess, Jordan, what questions do you have? I've had fun actually seeing what question you come up with.
This weekend we'll try fly.
Boom. Great question.
All right, guys. I got to get out of here. I really appreciate you guys having me on, John. Jeremy, thank you very much. Jordan, thank you. And if you guys have any more questions, flipping to Jeremy, flipping to John. But thanks for having me,
Where
guys.
can they find you if they do have questions? Where can they ask you, or where can they check out some of your product again?
So I'm on Instagram everything's Skeeterbites Fly Shop, Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll link it below, or I'll have you link it
Perfect.
below.
Yep. So guys, check him out. If you get questions, DM him. I'm pretty sure as long as your question isn't something silly and obnoxious, he will get back to you. So thank you again for joining. And I do apologize for those of you watching. Wow, it would not be a Fish Talk podcast if we did not have some technical issues.
That software, you get fancier and fancier.
Too fancy. But just to reiterate from earlier, guys, once again, please go check out Skeeterbite Fly Shop. His stuff's amazing. And stay tuned to the channel. You're going to see him on the channel this year. We're going to get out. I think the three of us getting out to do some fly fishing could be really fun. And then I'm curious to try the setup he explained with the spinning rod. That could be real interesting as well. And
I have to give it a go this summer.
And then, guys, like I mentioned earlier, please go check out hendricksfishing.com. Pick up some Third Eye fishing gear. Pick up some boxes. Pick up some other custom baits. And every time you use the code, let's see, it is March 2nd as I'm announcing this. Let's check back. I'm going to give you guys, let's see, because I want to be able, I'm going to give the winner a box and a splash pack. Let's say March 23rd, we will do the announcement of the winner. That way I can make sure you get the April Hendricks fishing box and Hendricks splash pack. Sound good to you, Jeremy? So like I said, make sure you guys use the code FISHTALK10. Every purchase gets you an entry. And if you do wind up subscribing, that will get you bonus entries. And you won't want to miss the upcoming boxes. You already missed out on March. He sold out. And that was an amazing, it's going to be an amazing, so you can't wait to the unboxing on that. And stay tuned. Water's opening. Jeremy and I are itching to go fish. Tournament season's around the corner. There's going to be a lot of content for you guys. Jordan, who keeps bopping in and out, he'll be joining us, I'm pretty sure. So keep tuned. There's going to be some fun content. And don't be surprised if we change up the fish talk a little bit. We may switch some days up, and we may take a quick break. So we'll always keep you guys up to date on Instagram.
Who knows?
So
That's a great idea.
until next time, guys, have a great time out on the water. Hopefully you guys catch some fish. And go ahead, feel free to tag us. If we get tagged next episode, I'll show off some of the catches you guys tag us in. If you want to put a little story in too. So as always, good luck on the water, and we will see you guys next week.